Hey, and welcome to another Unreal Engine 4 Blueprints tutorial. So today, looking at this question asked by Awesome Games and the Answer Hub, he's trying to create a chat box for multiplayer chat, and he would like it to support multiple channels. He's saying that he's a new developer, trying to set up a multi-chat for games, needs help to figure it out. He's saying that he figured out the public chatting setup. He's just not quite sure about private chat and a clan chat. So I can't cover all of the requirements here. It's just too much that needs to be done. But what I will cover is how to build a chat box that allows you to type in a message, and the chat box will support channels. I can't go into details on how to set up a guild channel versus how to set up a private channel versus how to set up a world or map-wide channel and how to set up a channel that's quote local to your area that you're in the game. And again, it's just going to require too many things that can't be fit into one video. As it is, I think the video will run about an hour long or quite possibly more, but hopefully not. So let's get going. So what we will need first, let's start at the UMG layer. So we'll build out the HUD. So I'll open up, and this is a clean project I have. I'll go ahead and create a user interface widget blueprint and call it chatbox. And if I pause briefly every now and then, it's because I'm referencing another project where I have this running. I just want to go step by step. So create a chat box and go ahead and open it. And I'm changing my compile so it will always save on compile. So what we need is we need to place a border right here inside the canvas panel, and this is just so we can have a background color for the entire chat box. And actually we will have a couple of borders. So we'll have one border there, and then we need a grid panel. Drag the grid panel in the border, and then within the grid panel we will need another border, and this will contain the actual chat message history. And within the border, let's create a scroll box, and this will allow the chat message history to scroll. And within the scroll box we will need one final node, which will be a vertical box, and give this a name called channel messages. We will be grabbing this within the event, so let's check is variable up here in the details, and go ahead and collapse that border. We need one additional border in this grid panel. We actually need a few more items. First, let's add a spacer, and this spacer will just add a little bit of space between our text history or message history and our channel buttons and the text box that you actually type in. Now let's grab a horizontal box and put that after the spacer right there. And within the horizontal box, add two buttons, and each button should have a text. And this horizontal box will contain the channel buttons. So go ahead and name these buttons and expose them as a variable, because we will be binding to them via click events. I'm going to create a global channel button and a guild channel button. So we'll call this global. However, as I mentioned at the start, I'm not actually going to have a guild chat system in place. I'll leave it up to you guys to figure that out, or perhaps I will do a guild style chat, or a private chat channel later on. Again, it's just too much to cover in one video. And it depends on your setup and how you're handling teams and friends in the game. So I'll just name this guild. But these two channels will be separate channels with their own message history. Okay, so I've got a guild button, I've got a global button, and that's it for the horizontal box. Create one more border below that, and this will wrap the text box that you type your message history in, or your text message, not history. And then within here, I've got a size box in my working edition, and inside of that size box, create a horizontal box. And inside of the horizontal box, create a scroll box. Like that. And inside the scroll box, create a text message or a multi-text line. Text box right there. And give this a name. Text message to send. And expose it as a variable. It already is. Great. And then create a button and add the button as a sibling of the scroll box. So drag it inside of the horizontal box. And for that button, give it a text node. Text. Drag it on there. And I'll name this, or just add the text send. And let's see, button, give the button a name because we'll be binding to this, and button send message is what I will call it. And let's see, now we need to fix our grid panel. So for the grid panel, what we need is, and I'm not an expert with grids, they still confuse me, but this works in my working edition. Set the column fill 0 index to 1 and add 4 row fills. The first one should be 1, and is that working? I don't think that's working. Okay, it's not working. Why is that not working? 1, 0. Let me just compare values. 1, 1, 0, 0. Of course, this isn't going to work when I'm recording, but we'll make the best of it. Click on your border. Okay. Spacer. I believe each of these spacers need to. Yep. So click on your spacer. Go to a row. Type in 1. And go to your horizontal box, which is a sibling of the spacer right here. Type in row 2 and border. And for the border, we're going to do row 3. There we go. So click on your very topmost border. I'm changing mine to be totally transparent, and that way I can have this one, the border that contains the message history, I'll have it partially transparent. Let's see what that looks like. Scroll box channel. Okay. Well, content and color opacity. I think that's the wrong one. I search for color, brush, appearance, brush, color. I don't know what content, color, and opacity does, but okay. Maybe not. Okay. Not sure. Tint? No. Border. Why is that not working? Oh man, it's probably this one. bar style, style. I'm not quite sure why it's still white. It should not be. Appearance brush color. There, I don't know what the deal is with that. Okay, I'll do 0.25, give it a color of black. And then for the sorry, that was the wrong one. Okay. No, make it totally clear. There we go. So for the top border in the grid panel, which is the message history, that one I will set to 0.25 and make it black. And I'm not sure. Brush color. What's the deal? I'm not sure if this is just me or what, but I'm always having issues with the background color. Okay, let's try this. Make sure it's not some kind of weird inheritance issue. Brush color, black. Okay, and transparent. Brush. What is the deal with that? Okay. Let me refer to this over here. Yeah, that's it's exactly the same as my working edition. The brush color for this alpha was 0, and for this alpha was 0.25. Image none. Man, that's a pain. Okay, well, I guess I'll leave it like that for now. Where do my buttons go? Wow. That, what a landslide. Okay, 1.0. That's interesting. That's interesting. Okay. Oh, alright, I set the content. Oh, well, I learned what content, color, and opacity does. Okay, now we're rolling. So, in here, select your border that contains the text box that the user will type their message into. Go to brush and change this also to 0.25. Change the color to black and make sure it's the brush color and not the content color and opacity. And for the size box, horizontal box, let's see, scroll box, change that to fill. And that looks good. Text box. So for the scroll box, let me check my notes again. Okay, so that's fine. For the text message to send, change the background color so it's blank. So you can't see the color unless you want to. You can modify your styles as you see fit. And for the button, padding, I'll give it a little bit of padding. I think I did 10 and then 6, maybe. Yeah, I think that's about right. Padding left. No. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Okay, so that is the UMG hierarchy. Now for the fun stuff, we get around to writing the actual event code for the blueprint. So go to your event graph for your WB chat box. And go ahead and delete those. We'll just create them as we need to. So we need let's see, we'll create 2 helper events. So create 2 custom events and call this one clear channel messages. And this will get the channel messages vertical box. Get it. Clear children. Connect that. And that's done. Create another custom event. Call this one clear entered message. Grab the text message to send. Get it. Call set text. Multi-line text box widget. Connect those up, and that's that. Those will be called later on. And next we need let's create a new variable called current channel and make it private and leave it at that. Go back to your content browser, right click, create a new blueprint, a new enumeration blueprint, and I'll call this one chat system channels. I believe that's what I called it. Let me double check. Yep. Okay, chat system channels. Open it up. Create a new item, and we'll call this global. And create a new one, and we'll call this guild. And you can create additional ones for each of your other channel buttons like local. But that's it for that. We need to, let's see. That's about it for that. Let's go back to our chat box and change the current channel to our new enum. So type in channel and then pick chat system channels. Variable is private. We don't expose or make it editable. Everything there looks good. So now on your button channel global, actually let's do it this way. Click on your button channel global, click on clicked, and same for your channel guild and your other channel buttons. Grab the current channel variable that we created, set it, connect this up, and copy it, paste it, Control C, Control V, connect it to this one, change this to guild, and let's see, clear channel messages. Okay, so when either of these buttons are clicked, we set the current channel variable, and then we call clear channel messages event. Connect it up like that. So each time you click on a channel button, it'll clear out the message history, because you're only wanting to view messages for the history you just selected. And create 2 event dispatchers called on send message and on channel changed. For your channel changed, it will have a single input of channel and type as the channel enum. And go ahead and call that. So left click and drag your dispatcher to the event graph, and then you get that drop down. And grab the current channel variable and connect it right there. So our player controller later on will be listening for this event, as well as the on send message. And for the on send message, it will pass around a structure which we will create right now. Here we go. Okay. Create a new blueprint of structure, and I'll call that S chat message. This structure will contain information for a single chat message. message ID. So we won't use all of the properties in here, but I wanted to give you more ideas of what you could store in here. For example, the message ID is a unique GUID that refers to this message. You can take this information, you can connect it to a backend server and an actual database and have it stored in there, or you can keep it simple and do what I'm going to do and just keep it in the game state. So the next property is channel, which is of type that channel enum we created, and date time, which will be a date time when the message was sent, and message, which will be text. And I don't know if the Unreal Engine, if the correct way is to store this in a text or a string. I know text is supposed to be localized, strings I guess are not, but I'll just store it in a text. Okay, so we have our, let me correctly spell that, chat message. Okay. Alright, so the onSend message event in our WB chat box. OnSend message event dispatcher will have a parameter called message, and it's going to be of our new chat message structure type, just like that. Okay. The next thing we need is a peer private function called make message ID. Open that up and it will output a GUID type, and we'll call that message ID. And I will explain in a second why we're doing it like this. Create a new local variable in the function called ID. Make sure it's a local within the function. Give it a type GUID, and we want to set that like that. Bring that up here, like that. Make GUID. Wait. New. There we go. Call new GUID. GUID, however you like to pronounce it. And click and drag this. Okay, so really quick, without spending too much time, I learned the hard way, and I can link to it in the, I'll link the AnswerHub URL in the description of the video. If you take this GUID and you pass it in right here, I noticed that it's like a function pointer reference, not a GUID object reference. So if I connected this new GUID directly to the message structure, each time you called the message ID property of our chat message structure, the GUID would change. It's a totally bizarre, stupid thing that the engine does. I don't know if it's a bug, I don't know if it's just the way it's meant to work, but the way around that, the way to make sure you're using a value without it changing every time when you use this, is to make a function with a local variable, assign the new GUID value to the local variable, and then return the local variable instance. Okay, so we're done with that. Let's fill in for the send message click now. So go down here, select your button send message, add a click, and what we're going to do is grab the text message to send, get it, and we're going to call get text multi-line text box. Drag that in here, and then we need to call text trim trailing. I think it's trailing. Wait. Text trim preceding and trailing. That's what we want. So what this is going to do is it will it'll remove any white space at the end and beginning of the text. Therefore, if all they entered was white space characters, it'll trim all of the white space, which will result in the text being empty, or it's just empty. So then we're going to check text is empty. We don't want to send text messages or messages to the server if the text was empty. We need to make sure that they have something in it, even if it's only a comma or whatever. But no white space only characters. So if it is, and I need to do a not, so if it's not empty, so make sure you, oh, I don't know why I did that, so make sure you negate that. If it is not empty, then what we need to do is we need to create the message structure. So make message and the message ID. Go ahead and click on your fake message ID or make message ID function we created. Mark it as appear. Mark it as private. Only this widget needs to access it. No other widget. Click and drag right there. Wish I would have connected that up automatically. The channel will be the current channel that is selected. The date time will be, I'm going to do UTC now, like that. And the message will be our trimmed version of the message. Make sure you get the white space trimmed version. And one thing I left out of the structure, it's not required, I wasn't really using it in my working copy of this, but just to show you, you can keep track of the player. So what I did is I did author player ID of type integer, which was just a player controller ID. You can change this to whatever you need to. It can be a string representing a username, or it can be a Steam ID, or however else you are deciding to track users in your game. So if I move this back here, open that up, get control, that one, I believe target is used, no, I want get owning player, there we go, and then get player ID, controller ID, so if true, and I'll just connect that there, move this stuff over. Okay, just to space it out. And we'll just call this make message. So the next thing we need to do is we need to clear, or sorry, not clear, we need to dispatch our on send message event. So the outside code can handle it and do what it wants with it. We don't care how it handles it. We just care that it handles it. So clear entered message. So go ahead and call your event clear entered message. And dispatch send message event. So that way when they send the message, we automatically clear the text they entered. And I believe that's it for that. Let me just double check. Okay. Compile, save. So the next thing we need to do, we'll go ahead and implement it now. We need a new custom event. So we'll comment all this and send message. So create a new custom event. We will call this one set channel messages. And what we need to, it will take a parameter called channel of type our channel enum. And let me just double check that I'm still recording. That would suck if I'm not. Okay, good. So grab your channel parameter, do equal enum, and compare it to the current channel. Hold down B, left click to add a branch shortcut. Love that shortcut. And yeah, So if we are on, if the channel message, oh, I misspelled again. Okay, if the channel that these messages are for our current channel, then clear channel messages to clear out the message history for the channel. And we will re-render the list of messages. And we need one more input on our set custom channel messages called, we'll name it messages, and it's going to be schat message. It will be an array of those, so check the array. Okay, and now we need to run a for each loop, so I'll add a reroute node and do a for each loop. We don't need a break, just a regular for each. Like that. And before we can go any further, we need to create an additional widget. So go over here, right click, user interface, new widget blueprint, WB, chat box, message. I'll just call it that. I named it a little bit differently in my other project, but that's alright. Okay, so what we need, open this up, go to the designer, and within the canvas, actually what we're going to do is we're going to right click on the canvas, replace with horizontal box, and then we need a text node. Drag it on the horizontal box, call it date time node, make sure it is a variable, and I will also change from fill screen up here to desired. I don't know what they call that. I don't know, it's just how it fills the screen, I guess. And after the date time, we need a spacer, just to add in a wee bit of space. And then after the spacer, we need a text. I will set the text to, where's text? To a open, whoop, to an open bracket. And grab another text. Come on. And name this text author node. And for the author node, it needs to be a variable. And right click the author node, wrap with, and wrap it with a scale box. And grab the text node, a new one, drag it on the horizontal box, go over here, set the text to a closing bracket. Okay, and then actually for this one I'll do a closing bracket followed by space followed by a semicolon. And then we need a spacer. Click and drag the spacer on the horizontal box. And then we need another node. What is this node? Sorry. I believe that's a multi-line text. So look for text, grab a multi-line text, add it to the end of the horizontal box, call this message node. Make it a variable, and select all of these, and maybe not the scale box. No. Select all of the text nodes, not the spacers, and the message node. And okay, we'll do it one at a time. Vertical alignment, set it to top. Vertical alignment, top, and top, top. Make sure the other node is set to top. And again, you can tweak your UI styles however you'd like. This was just the nice presentable way I did it. Okay, next thing is we need to get rid of that color, that background color. So set it to 0 transparency. We don't need it. Actually, change the... No, we'll leave it at that. Okay. Let me just check. Okay. For the date time, we'll do font. Where's the color? Actually, we do need to change the fonts, and I had them set to 10. So I'll select my texts and set it to 10. And for the message node, we can leave that at 12 because it's the main message. You want that to draw in the user's eye first. And select those and look for color and opacity. We'll change that to like a blue. We'll make it a deeper blue. Maybe not. Okay, like that. And grab your date time node and we'll change the font color here to like a yellow. And we will leave the message node multi-line text box as a just white text. I think it's defaulted to white. So now we need to go to the event graph for this widget, and we'll just delete that. We'll re-add them if we need them. And what we need is a variable, and we'll call this chat message. Change the type to our chat message structure. Make it editable, expose on spawn, and private. What that does is it exposes the variable on spawn, which we will see shortly, and it marks it as private, so you outside of this widget you shouldn't be able to modify it other than when you spawn the class. So add a new custom event, add a new event construct. There we go. And what we need to do is we need to take our chat message, get it, and break it. And open up the pin options over here on the right when you have your break selected. We don't need the message ID, we're not using it here. We don't need the channel, we're not using that as well. So uncheck those. And then what you need is a sequence. Hold down S, left click, add a sequence, add 3. And then what we need to do is we need to set our nodes right here. So get this one and call set text and grab this and call to string. No, it's not going to do it. Under text, look for, that's why, as date time from UTC. Click and drag that right there, bring that over here, clean this up a tad bit, connect that right there. I don't like crossing lines, it's just grinds my gears. Okay, next grab the message node, get it, click and drag off of it, call set text, multi-line text box, click and drag from here, right there, and connect the nodes, the execution pins. Bam. One more, author node, click and drag, get it, drag off the pin, call set text, click and drag off the author player ID, convert it to a text from an int, and connect the execution pin. And as messy as those lines are, they are good enough for me right now. So I believe that's it for that widget. Close that, open up your WB chat box again. Right click and call create widget. The class should be our chat box message. Owning player will be, let me get back to my, get owning player, just so we can retain the player controller reference that owns it. And click here, add a reroute, add it right in there. just like that. Okay, so once we create the new chat box message widget, and you see how the chat message is right here as a spawn parameter, that's what expose on spawn does. Expose on spawn will only work if you have editable checked as well. But with private, you see how, because I have chat message expose on spawn plus editable plus it's marked as private, I can't set chat message here. However, and I'll show you this really quick just so you know that I'm not a liar. If I uncheck private and I compile and I go back, what did I close it? I go back here and I call set chat message. Now I can set that. But really, we don't want to do that. We don't want our we don't want the blueprints outside of this widget to willy-nilly modify that chat message. If they need to, you can provide a public event or function on this blueprint called set chat message or update chat message. It's usually bad to do that kind of stuff in programming. Next, what you need to do is grab the channel messages vertical box, get it, drag off the pin, and call add child to vertical box. And actually, the other add child might work too. There's just a basic panel add child, should work too, but click and drag the return value, store it in there. So this will receive a list of messages for a single channel, clear the message history, iterate each array element or each message, it'll loop through them, create a new chat box message widget for each message, and add that to the vertical box. And let's see what we need to do. I have this in here, and let's see, first we'll comment this, set new chat message history content. That would be fine for now. So in my working project, I have a event construct in here, and I don't know if this was just left over from when I was trying to get this to work or what, but I'll just add it just in case. On construct, we need to trigger on channel changed, pass that in. I think what this allows us to do is specify a default channel from here or something. Okay, now I do believe that's it for our UI widget. So I'll go back. We have a top-down player controller here. I'll open that up. Came with the starter project. If you don't have one, you should create one and then add it to your game mode. So we have a tick event, which we won't use. However, we will use event begin play. And let me just reference my notes. Okay, so we need a couple of events here. Go ahead and create a begin play event. Create a new custom event and call this bootstrap client. And create a sequence, hold down S, left click, and call bootstrap client. Okay, and during bootstrap client, what we will be doing is verifying that this is is local player controller, and add a branch. If it is, we know it is safe to add HUD widgets. If there's no local player controller, that means you're on a dedicated server authority for this at the time this is executing, which is you don't want to try to create HUD widgets for the authority dedicated server because it won't work. Create widget, create a chat box widget. Owning player will be self, like that. My fingers are not working too well. Okay. And then right click, promote to variable, call it WP chatbox, or whatever you would like to call it. And then add to viewport, like that. Okay. The next thing we need to do well, that's not true. Okay, Bootstrap client machines. This will run if you are acting as the server. For example, if you're not running with a dedicated, Bootstrap client will run, because even though you're the server, you still have a local player controller. So anyways, compile and save, and then let's create two additional, actually let's go ahead and do this. Create a new event graph chat and call it chat system. This will keep things clean and organized, and create a new custom event and call it on send chat message, and it will have a parameter called message of type, you got it, our chat message. Compile and save, come back over here, open this up a little bit, grab the WP or WB chat box, get it, and bind to on send message. Connect this up. This is where we are listening for those events that the widget is broadcasting. So when you drag off that, do event dispatcher create event and select our event in here. It is worth noting this method will only work if your custom event signature matches the signature required by this event that is being dispatched. For example, if I open up the chat box, go to the event graph, you see our on send message, the signature, which includes the input parameters and their type and the return values, it matches. The name doesn't have to match, to my knowledge, it's just the type. And so if we look at our custom message, we see it matches. We have a message parameter of type schatMessage. So don't let that get you. If you can't find your event in this list, it's because your signature does not match. In which case you can do this, drag off that, add event, custom event, maybe not, drag off that, add event, and it will automatically generate a signature that matches. Okay, and let's do this again. Copy paste and bind on channel changed. Hook that up. And bring that in a little bit. And on channel changed, we need to create custom event on chat channel changed, and it will have an input of our channel enum, call it channel, go back to our regular default event graph, drag off event, event dispatcher, create event, and select on chat channel changed. Say that 3 times. Okay, next up, what we need to do, sorry, let me just checking my nodes, or my notes, not nodes. Okay, it's about time we hit on the game state or server side of things. What we can do, if we go to the chat system event graph in our player controller, put that over there, create a new custom event and call this send chat message to server. Its parameter will be the message, our chat message structure, And this event, which will be executed on the client, we will need to replicate this to the server. So call send chat message to server, connect those up, select your send chat message to server, and specify run on server. You can mark it as reliable if you want to make sure the message gets there, but it's generally bad practice to mark your run on server event as reliable unless it is critical to the gameplay. This is just chat. To me, it's not critical to the gameplay, so it will not be reliable. And that's it for that. Now the fun stuff. And this was... Okay, so what we need to do now is... Let me try to do this in order so we're not going to be jumping around a whole lot. Let's go ahead and do this. Right click, new blueprint interface. Call it BPI chat system. Open it up. So I love using interfaces. In the long run, it provides a lot of benefits. Send chat message, and I don't have time to explain what those benefits are right now. Channel messages. Okay. So in our send chat message interface function, the input right here, first parameter and only parameter will be message, and I keep reversing that, there we go, of type our chat message structure. It won't have any outputs, therefore it's not a function, it's an actual event. The next function we need is a chat channel messages. So get chat channel messages. And this will accept a channel parameter of type our channel enum, and it'll have two outputs. The first is channel found boolean, and the second is messages. Chat channel message is our structure. Chat channel message is the type, and it's an array. It will contain all of the messages in that channel. And we need one more function, and we'll call this watch chat channel updates. And the input, come on, will be the channel, and the type will be of our channel type enum, not an array. Make sure array is unchecked. And listener, and the listener type is our player controller. I'll do top-down controller as my reference. It does need to be a player controller reference as well. Compile and save. So what send chat message is probably self-explanatory. This will send a chat message, or it'll actually save the chat message or add it to a channel's chat. That's pretty much self-explanatory. Get chat channel messages returns messages for the given channel. Watch chat channel updates. What this is I decided on not replicating all of the messages to the client version of GameState, and the reason being, if you're not in a channel, your network bandwidth should not be wasted on receiving the chat messages for that channel, and it's also saving your server's network bandwidth. So I decided to manually implement it's not so much a pull event system, it's a push. When chat messages are added to a channel, whichever clients are listening for updates for that channel, the channel's messages will be pushed to each client who is marked as, watching the channel. I implemented the ability to watch channels, I haven't implemented any functionality that removes a player controller from the list of channels they're watching. So you would have to implement that yourself. For example, if I open up the chat box and I look at the designer, I've seen games where alongside the channel tab, global and guild would be tabs. They also had a enable or disable, like a little circle, and you were able to turn them off completely. And so when you implement something like that, you would then unregister this player's controller who's owning the HUD from that channel. I'll leave that up to you to implement, or I can do it in a future video. But this is what I've done so far, and it's working well. So we've got our chat system interface. So now we need to modify our game state, because our game state will be the chat system. The nice thing about this interface is in the future, you might decide, okay, we have to take the chat system functionality out of the game state and move it to its own actor object or its own object somewhere else. Well, because the chat system that the player controller references is backed by this interface, all you have to do is implement this interface in any other object, and you can just plug it in without doing a lot of code refactoring. Okay, so with that being said, let me get a drink of water. What we need to do now is open up our game state. And this is where all of the fun happens. So I don't have one. It doesn't. The top-down starter template doesn't come with one, so I'll create a new blueprint class and base it off the game state base. And I'll call it BP game state. Open up your game state. I don't need the viewport. I don't need the construction script. I'll delete the begin, play, and tick events. I don't need them. Open up the class settings. Go over here under interfaces and add a new one and call this one chat. BPI chat system is what you need to implement. Compile. So, right, that's going to complain. You can just do this as a temporary short-term fix, make an array, and tell it to shut up, and then recompile. Okay. So, when you implement an interface, and this is worth knowing, if your interface function has a return parameter, if it has any outputs, it's considered a function. So if we go over to my game state, we can see I'm implementing BPI chat system. Under my interfaces, I have this function, but you don't see the other two functions. And the reason is the two functions here, they don't return an output. So Unreal considers those events. An event, although similar to a function, they're different because an event cannot return any outputs. So how you implement these is you just right click your event graph and you search for what you're looking for, and you see there's an add event for event send a message, and you see it says from BPI chat system. That's just telling us this event is from the BPI chat system asset, which happens to be a interface. Oh, one thing we'll do is give this a category of chat system to keep just keeping things nice and organized. I'm pretty sure you have a lot of stuff in your game state, and it just makes it easier to find things. Chat system. Yep. Okay. Save. Another cool thing I learned is you can do this. You can add a pipe and then test, and the pipe acts as a nest. Look at this. Well, maybe not, because that's an event, right? But, oh yeah, you see up here? It created a chat system, and then the pipe gives you another one level deep, which is pretty cool. Oh, I'll change that to chat system, and I learned that by going through the C# code, or the C++ code, and saw that they were doing it in their code. Okay, so what we need to do, let me just refer back to my notes. Okay, we need a new structure, and we'll call this one blueprints structure S chat channel messages. Open this up, and here we have channel of type our channel enum, and here we have messages, and in here we have our S chat message, and it will be an array. The next thing we need, I don't know if I'm actually using this other property that I have added in here, but I'll leave it out for now. So this structure, for each chat channel, there will be one of these structures. So the reason why I did it like this, instead of storing an array of chat messages in the game state and iterating through that array and grabbing all the messages for the channel that we are requesting, is for performance benefits. It's a lot quicker to search through an array of these structures that have probably 4 or 5 different items and pull the channel structure, and then boom, you already have all of the messages right here for this channel. Another thing is, I'm not sending the chat channel messages structure. I'm not sending this back to the client. That's my choice that I made. I'm just sending a copy of the array, which has the array of chat message structures. There are some things the client needs to know about, and there are things the client doesn't need to know about, and I think this structure, the chat channel message structure, the client didn't need to know about it. So we need a new variable in here called channel messages, or I suppose what we can do is just call it channels, and let's go back here and we'll call this S channels. We'll keep things simple. Things were getting a little bit confusing in my other project with the way I had this named, so let's see if this fixes it. Actually, let's make that singular, S channel. Actually, let's call it a chat channel. Okay. And call this chat channels. Make its type our chat channel. It will be an array of chat channels, and make it private. Our outside code does not need to know about it. And don't make it replicate. This is what I was saying earlier. If you replicate this and you have 10 channels or 4 channels, if one of your players is only paying attention to one channel, they're getting all of the text for all of the channels, and that's just a waste of networking. So we'll just not replicate it. Okay, let's see. Let me just refer to my notes. Create a new event graph called chat system, and open it, and add a new event. If you look in your class, I'll just type it in. Search for a send message, add chat system event send message. You can verify it's from our interface, which is what we want, and then add a event watch chat channel updates. You can rename this if you find a better way to name it. So we only want to process this call if it's been called on the authority, because remember, the list of messages are only on the authority server. They're not replicated down to the client game state. So if it's not authority, just for debugging purposes, I'll have this print string. I actually just copied this over from my other project to save a little bit of time. Delete the print string when you're done with debugging, what I do is I use a visual logger log text in my project, like that, and I'll do something like BP GameState, the name of the class, and put the string message in here, and then I would actually call stack trace, which does a stack trace, though I've never actually used the output of that. But so if it's remote, don't do anything, and if it's authority, we need to add a new function. Call it add channel message. Its parameter will be a message, and let's see, no return output, make it a private, and drag, go back to your chat system event graph and connect this up like that. Drag the message over, just like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up our add channel message, and this is where the good stuff happens. So again, let's have a switch authority in there just in case. If we don't have one, I will copy and paste this from my other project, and I'll rename that to add channel message. And we need a local variable to make things cleaner down the road called the message. And what I mean by cleaner is we won't have lines going all over the place. We'll have less lines, I guess. So the type of our local variable called the message will be chat message. Okay, go back here. Okay, and set it. Oop, it should not be an array. Change variable type and connect it right there. Yes, I know. Okay, and then we need an additional one called channel, and this local variable called channel will be of type chat system channels enum, and click and drag and set. Drag right there and drag off this output pin from the set node, break it, and we only need the channel, so hide all those other pins, connect it up like that. Okay. Let's see. Let me just check something really quick. Okay, so we need a new function. First, we'll put this in a category called chat system. So our new function will be called is message channel created, or yeah. Assign that to the chat system category, make that private, and it should be up here. Its input will be our channel enum, and call the name, or give the parameter name channel, and it will have output nodes, and those nodes will be index of type integer, new node, and we'll call this chat channel, forgotten, in of type our chat channel chat channel, that structure. Make sure it's the chat channel structure and not the chat message structure. And again, if this is authority, I know this is a private function, but just in case it's called on the client game state, have that in there, and I will bring this log message over from my other project. Yeah, okay. So we need a new local variable called the channel. That'll reduce the amount of lines we have going on. And we need a for each loop. So grab our chat channels, get them, and do for each loop. We don't need a break because if we find the chat channel, we'll do a return node like that. So go ahead and break the array element, and we only need the channel like that. Bring that over there and drag off the channel and do equals equals enum. Click and drag the channel to there. Hold down B, left click, execute the branch, connect that to the branch like that. And if this is the channel we are looking for, get a new reroute node in here and the array element like that. Okay. And when it's completed, if it completes, that means we didn't find anything. So we will set the return node, the index to -1, because in our for each loop, indexes are 0 based for arrays. So if it's -1, we didn't find anything. Okay, save and compile, and we can do a return node here too, just to hide that warning. Index -1. Okay. And that's it for that. So it's pure, it's private. Generally, if you have a pure function, you don't want it to modify any data. So in our case, we are, oh, that's a bug. Drag off the channel and make sure you set that, just like that. Okay, so if you have a pure function, generally it's good practice to not modify any actor or class variables in a pure function. You just want to get data, or that's what I read at least. So and that's my preference. So the next thing we need is another function called find message channel, and add it to the chat system category. And with this one, it will be private, of course, because outside blueprints don't need to know about it. They don't need to call it. And its parameter will be channel of type our channel enum. Its output, there would be 2 of them, actually 3, and it is found, which is boolean, followed by message channel of type our chat channel structure. Make sure it's not the chat message structure. And our index. And that's an integer. And I'll just move the index above the channel. There we go. So again, if the chat channel is not found, index will be -1, and is found would be false. If it was found, index will be 0 or greater than 0, greater than or equal to 0, and is found will be true. So that way we can use this multiple ways internally. We can use it to detect if a chat channel exists, or we can use it to get the index or the channel itself. Okay, so in here, click and drag our private pure is message channel created, connect the channel property, and do equals equals integer, and do -1 as the comparison, the right hand comparison. Hold down B, left click, bring that in here, connect that up. So if it is -1, we don't have a chat channel. So is found is false, index, set that to -1, and leave message channel blank. Copy that, paste that. Otherwise, if it is not -1, we have a message channel. We can connect up the message channel there. We can connect the index there, and is found true. Okay. Close the find message channel and go back to add channel message. After we set the channel, we will find the message channel, connect that up, and let's see, create a new local variable called channel index, and it will be an integer. This will be used for updating an existing channel that's in the chat channels array here, and we need to know its index so we can properly update it. And create one additional local variable called message, or called chat channel, of type our chat channel structure. Okay, so click and drag channel index, set it, connect this up, connect that up, click and drag chat channel, set it, connect that up, and connect those up. Okay. So add a branch, connect up the execution pins, add a reroute node, and connect it up like that. Okay, got that set up. So over here, now we need to do two things. We need to, if we found the channel, then we need to update an existing channel. So what we need to do is drag off our chat channels here and get it. Sorry, not chat channels. Our chat channel, our local variable that contains the channel that we found, not the array of channels. Drag off the chat channel and call break s chat channel. We don't need the channel property, so we can turn that off. And then we need to just put that down there. Drag off our messages array and do add. We're going to add the message, the incoming message, to this array like that. Connect that up with the execution pins. And then once we update that, see, we need to take the chat channel again, get it, and this time we're going to call set members in chat channel. Go over here, open up default. Only, and this is important, only check the properties in the structure you're going to set. Because if you check a property, if you don't specify it, like I'm not going to specify channel for this operation. If this was here, it would still set that to whatever values here. So if you had like a string property and you had that checked and you didn't mean to set it, you'd be setting it to a blank string, which is not good. And connect this up. So the reason why we need this, I'm pretty sure we need it. That's why I have it added in my other project. When you break this, you get an array of object references. That array is not passed by reference, meaning any updates you make to this array, it doesn't reflect in this object. This is a structure object, and this is returning an array of object references. So after we make the updates to our array, the update here, this add, it will reflect on this reference that we drag off here, but it won't actually update in the chat channel. To my knowledge, I'm pretty sure that's why I have the set members here, is because it wasn't working without it. So we will drag off our messages reference, or our array reference right there, and connect that in. So we're going to reset the messages array that's in our chat channel structure. Okay, likewise, when we make updates to this channel, at this point I don't think it was updating in our array of chat channels here. So what we need to do is we need to call set array element, connect this up. The target array is going to be our chat channels array that contains all channels. The index is going to be our channel index. Remember, we return the index here, the index location of where this channel can be found in this chat channels array. Drag that down here. And the item is going to be this struct out parameter. Just like that. We do not need to size to fit because we're not dynamically adding a new array element. We're updating an existing one. So the number of array elements should stay the same. So we will comment this channel exists update existing one with add message to end of message list. Okay, next up we need to handle when the channel does not exist. So what we need to do is we need to create a new chat channel, make s chat channel. The channel here is going to be the local channel variable we set, which contains the channel of the message that is incoming. Drag off our messages array input, call make array, and for the 0 item in the array, for the first item, drag our the message local variable and plug it in right there. Bring this right there. Okay, so once we make that, we can drag off our chat channel. Let me double check. Yep. Drag off our chat channel, get it, and call add to add an array element. Add this new structure that we created, the structure that represents a single chat channel. We connect up the execution pin there. Okay. And channel doesn't exist, create a new one and assign the incoming message. Okay, just do that. Okay, compile, save. For now, we're done with that. We will need to okay, actually, let's go ahead and do it now before I forget. And okay, so create a new function called notify channel, notify chat channel updated. Assign it to the chat channel category, make it private, and it will not be up here. Double check I am still recording. That is good. An hour and 24 minutes, a lot longer than I was hoping. So the notify chat channel updated will take a parameter of channel, type our channel enum, no outputs, and leave it at that. Okay, click and drag our new notify channel updated, connect it there, connect it here, comment this, notify channel listeners that new messages are available. And we need to set the channel property, so click and drag from your local channel variable, just like that. Okay, compile save. We're done with that function. So, going back to our chat system event graph, we're done with that. The next thing we need to do, let me just double check, add channel. The next thing we need to do is create a get chat system variable. And I will actually categorize this as game state. And all this is going to do is get a reference to self. Come on. It's going to cast to BPI chat system. And to see this option, you might have to uncheck this context sensitive. In our case, we didn't need to. And then if you succeed, add a return node. And the return node output will be chat system. And its type will be BPI chat system. And plug that in. So our player controllers will be calling this get chat system. It's going to return a reference to an object that implements BPI chat system. So this means in the future, if you ever decide on something else implementing your BPI chat system, you just have to change this one method. Have it return something else. Instead of it casting self, for example, you could create a new blueprint actor called chat system that implements this, and then spawn that new actor in the game state on the authority during the begin play. I'm doing it for my own personal project where my game state initializes a couple of objects that are only on the server. So if you ever change the class or the actor that implements BPI game state or BPI chat system, this is where you change it. And because it uses that interface, and because the player controller and the widget, all those only use the interface, you don't have to change those at all. That's a benefit to using interfaces. Okay, with that out of the way, let me see. The only thing left is implementing the channel listening, where we push notifications to anyone who has registered to receive updates. So let's go ahead and do that now. That's a fun one. Chat channel. Okay, create a new structure. Right click, blueprints, structure, S chat channel listeners. This structure is going to so there's one structure for each channel, and it contains a list of player controllers to notify. It's that simple. And actually, implementing this listening system was it took me a long time, about an hour, just to figure out all the bugs and work out all the kinks. It was pretty gnarly. Okay, this will be player controllers. It's going to be a list of our player controllers. In my case, it's going to be top-down controller, something like that. Top-down controller, a reference, and it will be an array. Save that, and that's all we need for that. You can give it a comment if you'd like. Okay, back to our game state, which I closed. I'll give this chat system category. Create a new variable called chat channel listeners, and and its type will be the chat channel listeners structure. And I'm going to make that a singular name, listener, chat channel listener. Make it private. No one needs to know about it outside of this class. Make it an array. And I'll assign it the chat system category. Compile that, save that. Open up our notify chat channel updated. And let's start filling this in. Switch authority. So what this function does is when we add a message to a channel, it will notify each player controller that is listening for that channel to have message updates. I'm going to copy my debug print string over, just like that. And we need a local variable called the channel. It will not be an array, and set it to our channel enum type. File save, drag it, set it. If it's authority, we'll set that. Connect the channel link. There we go. File that, save that channel. And we need a new function. Is channel. Actually, I'm going to do find channel listener. Make it private pure, and it will take an input of channel. And make that channel enum type. And add it to the chat system category. The output will be pretty much the same as find message channel. Is found index is found of type boolean new index of type integer, and channel listener of type channel listener struct, just like that. Create a new function called is channel listener created. It will be private pure, input of channel. And this just kind of separates concerns. Channel listener struct. Output will be index chat channel. Make sure that's the right one. Chat channel listener. Oh, sorry. Index should be integer. Channel listener. And add that to the chat system category. Compile, save. Okay. So this is channel listener created. It's pretty similar to our is message actually. It's pretty much the same. So create a local variable called the channel. Oh, and that's a mistake. The channel here should be of type our channel enum. And we need our handy dandy switch authority. I'll copy the log from my other project. Switch authority. Again, the chat channel listeners should not be replicated. Definitely those should not be replicated because they contain player controller references, and I know the player controller references shouldn't be replicated across clients unless you own the reference, but for security reasons, don't replicate them. So connect that up, call the channel and set it to the channel that was passed into the function. If it's authority, come on, my mouse clicking is not accurate today. Okay, get that out of the way. So now we need to iterate the chat channel listeners. For each, we don't need a break because we will be returning if we do find it. So like that. And we need to break the chat channel. We don't need player controllers, just the channel. If equal enum the channel. So if this is the channel we're looking for, add a branch, connect it up, then bring this back here. True, we found it. Add a reroute node, reroute. Oh, come on. Right there. Bring this in. Just like that. Okay. We don't have a false branch here. We don't care about that. Completed. If we completed the loop, that means we didn't find anything, so index should be -1. Copy that, paste that up here, connect that up there to get rid of that warning. There we go. And that is complete. Find chat channel. Okay. Connect this up. And let's just base it off this loosely. Okay, bring that over here. If index is equal to -1, then that means we did not find it. Is found false index -1. Otherwise is found yes. Index would be this, and channel listener, pass that in there. Okay. Okay, so find channel listener right there. And if it's found, and again, this logic is it's similar to the other logic that's in, I think it's add messages, add channel message or something like that. So if we find it, then get chat channel. Hold on. Right. Okay. Before we move on, we do need to create one additional interface. Do new blueprint interface, BPI chat system channel listener. This interface will be implemented by each player controller, and the interface will guarantee our game state that when it notifies the player controller, they will implement the function or the event that's in here. So rename this to on chat channel updated, or you can call it on new messages or on new channel messages. This is just what I'm calling it. The input is going to be the channel of type our channel enum, and the other input is going to be messages of type chat message, and it will be an array of our chat message structures. Compile and save. Go back to game state, and there's no outputs on that, So now we need to grab our channel listeners, get them, and do a for each. Oh, hold on. Nope. We need to drag off our channel listener here, break it. We don't need the channel property. We do need the player controllers, and do a for each on that. There we go. So we know we have a list of top-down controller references. Go ahead and cast to, and this is where we need to turn off context sensitive. Chat system channel listener. So if we successfully cast the player controller to this interface, that means the player controller implements this interface, so we know we can call on chat channel updated. Don't call that one though. Go ahead and look for on chat channel updated. Do the interface call. I prefer that one. If we can't cast them, you can log it, you can print it. It's not a big deal. The channel local variable, grab that, bring that over here. And now we need the messages for this channel. So we need one additional thing. What did I miss? Okay. So we'll call this notify each player controller of new messages, new channel messages. Right. Yep. Okay. So get channel messages. Okay, get channel messages right here. We'll call get channel messages in our notified chat channel updated. Pass in the channel and execute that. Grab the messages, add a reroute, okay. Alright, bring that over like that. Get channel messages. Okay, and for this function it's pretty much done. Remember, I know it's probably been a little bit, this function is called when a channel message is added to notify all of the player controllers that this channel has received new messages. So we get the channel messages, we iterate each player controller, cast them. If they can cast, we notify them and pass in the array of messages. Done with that. Okay, let's see. So that's filled in, and that. What is next? Okay, watch chat channel update in our chat system event graph. Add listener to channel. Okay, need to implement that. So let's go ahead and start on this. Add a switch authority node with a print string right there. Drag that in like that. And name this watch chat channel updates. Must be called. Okay. So we need a new function called add channel listener. Or no, add listener to channel. Make it private. And assign it to the chat system category, like that. It should not be up here because it does modify variables. Parameter type chat system or channel. Parameter type chat system channel. name channel and player controller and top-down controller reference. Let's see. Okay, so we've got that there. So go back to the chat system event graph, click and drag here. If it's authority, run that. Listener, that's good enough. Now let's open up the definition right here. And I think we're getting close, so bear with me. I know it's been almost 2 hours. Oh man. Let's add a switch authority, and then we need a local variable called listener. Listener, and its type will be top-down controller, your player controller type, and it'll be a reference. So set it if it's the authority, and we run set it to prevent extra node graph lines. And then we can do the same with the channel. Let me check. Yeah, we could do the same with the channel. Right. Call it the channel because it conflicts with the parameter name. And of type channel chat system channel enum. Set it like that. Actually, we can reverse these just so we have less lines crossing each other, because the channel property is first. Come on, there we go. Add a reroute. Drag it up there, that's good enough. And yet I still modify it to clean it up. Okay. So find channel listener, and we want this channel. So if it's found, okay, and that type would be channel listener struct. Get it. Set it. Like that. Okay. So if the channel listener is found, then we know, oh, we need one additional variable, channel listener index, or we can just call it listener index to keep things somewhat brief. Set it to the index. Just like that. Okay, so if we find the listener, then what we need to do is update the listener. We need to add this player as someone who wants to be notified when this channel has received new messages. So drag off your local channel listener variable, break it like it's hot, and then create a new local variable called notify list, and this will be your player controller array. So top down controller, the type will be of type whatever player controller you're using, and it will be an array of that. Drag off notify list, set it, connect these up, and remember the I guess they're not hoops, but I'll call them hoops. Remember the hoops we had to jump through when we add a message to the channel? We have to do something similar like we did there. Bring this over like that. Okay, so set the local, or a copy of the local list of player controllers to notify. And we need to add to this list. So grab the listener, and drag him right here, get him. And before we add this player controller right here that was passed in, before we add it to the list, we need to make sure it's not already there. The way I have the code designed, it works. However, this is called multiple times for the same player in the same channel, even if they're already there. You can change it so it doesn't do that. I would recommend changing that. The code became, I was just spending a lot of time on this, and it's working, so I don't want to do everything for you. Of course, I want you to get out there and learn and figure things out too, so I don't want to take all the fun. So if this is greater than -1, because remember, the find an array will return -1 if it did not find an element. If it found the first element in the list, it'll be index 0, so we can't do a greater than 0. Add a branch, connect that up, just like that. Okay, and do something like that. So if the player is already in the list, we don't care. We won't do anything. So off the false branch, drag and add. Array, add. Drag off this array. Connect that up like that. Just like that. And add this listener. Just like that. Now, after we add the player controller as a listener of this channel thing, after we do that, we need to get our channel listener, get it, and call set members in schat channel listener. Remember, only check the properties you want to set. That is a very unforgiving node. It will cause you to spend hours of debugging. Okay, drag off the notify list variable, place it there. And once we have the updated struct reference in the struct out, we need to drag off our chat channel listeners array that contains all of the chat channel listeners and call set array element, just like that. The index will be this listener index that we set at the beginning, and we need to pass in the struct out as the item. We don't need to size to fit. So this will be if channel listener doesn't exist, create one and add player to the list of listeners. Okay, otherwise we do have one, so then we have simpler code to go through. So grab our listener, or I'm sorry, this is if channel listener does exist, update the struct and add this player that's good enough. So otherwise we need to create one, and this one is far easier or simpler. So make channel listener the channel local property, connect it there, drag off this player controllers array, make an array, and drag off the listener, connect it there. And then drag off our chat channel listeners, get them, add, connect that up, connect that up, just like that. Let's see, channel listener doesn't exist, created and assign player controller to it. Okay, compile, save, and that is it for that function. And we're getting very, well, not very, but we're getting close. We're almost there. So that looks good. Okay. So the next thing to do is the player controller. Let's turn our attention to the player controller. I think that's the last piece to this big puzzle. Open up the player controller, open up the event graph, and do a time check. We're at almost 2 hours. Oh man. Okay. So currently we are bootstrapping the client. We're doing that. Okay, that looks good. The next thing is we need to bootstrap on all machines. So do a custom event called bootstrap all. And a bootstrap is just setting something up or initializing something to get it ready to be run. For good procedure, good practice, grab your chat box widget, mark it as private. You don't want any outside blueprints to modify that. Only the player controller. So call get game state, cast to BPI, cast to our chat system class, connect that up, and right click the as BPI chat system, promote to variable, and call that chat system. Right, we already have an event graph called that. Chat system. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna rename this graph to user chat, and I'll call this chat system. You want your variable names to clearly state what they are, what they contain, etc. Okay, and oh, I'm sorry. I went about that the wrong way. Cast to our game state. So cast to your game state class. Or if your game state implements a custom interface, you can cast to that. What we're going to do, delete that, we're going to call our get chat system function. Let me go back to the game state really quick. Okay, and assign that variable. There we go. So that way, remember, we can now swap this out. There we go. We can change out what the object is that implements the chat system without having to modify anything over here. Okay. Bootstrap all machines. And we need a bootstrap authority as well. Call this custom event, call it bootstrap authority. This is to be run on the authority machine only, so switch on authority. And then on what we want to do is grab our chat system right here, get it. Make sure you mark this chat system variable as private as well. and drag off your chat system variable and call watch chat channel. Oh, make sure it's the interface call. Watch chat channel updates interface call. The listener is self, and connect that up like that. On begin play default default to listening on the global channel. So because when you think of when the UI initializes, the user hasn't necessarily clicked on a channel button, therefore this wasn't called in this event right here that the widget is going to trigger. This will do the same thing that we're doing here. And again, remember the watch chat channel has to be called on the authority because the authority machine contains the array of chat channels, not the client. So that's important to understand as well. That's why we are calling this on the authority. Okay. So event begin play sequence. We need to change this. Add a third one. First we want to call bootstrap all. That's important. The sequence or the order that we call these is important. And then bootstrap authority. Okay, so that way this will execute and it will set the chat system variable by the time authority runs, which uses it. And same thing. Oh, no, okay. I thought I was using the chat system variable as a expose on spawn variable to this, but I remembered that I changed that, so we're not giving the widget that anymore. That is it for the default event graph there. Go back to our user chat or your chat event graph and your top-down player controller. And we've got our send chat message. Now we need to listen for the channel update. So when the channel changes, we need to add a custom event, and call this watch chat channel on server. And this will be a run on server. We don't need it to be reliable. Okay. And this is executed on client when a chat channel is changed. When the selected, there we go, just to be clear on that. And again, for good measure, we can add in a switch has authority. So what we need to do is we need to grab our chat system variable, get it, and call watch interface call, watch chat channel updates, make it the interface call, connect that up. So what we're doing here, and our watch chat channel on server should take a channel parameter of type channel enum. Compile that, and then you can call it from here. Plug that in. Okay, so when this is called, we need to tell the chat system that, okay, for this chat channel, and this channel came in from the UI, it's the one that the user selected, we would like to listen for the new message, the change events, or the messages, whatever you'd like to, however you would like to refer to it. So register as an event listener of this channel. And then we need to get the chat channels, or we need to get the messages for this channel and return it. However, to return it, remember we can't return a value from a event. We need to add a new method called notify client, custom event, new custom event called notify client of chat channel updates. It will receive two parameters. First is called channel of type chat system channel. Second is messages, consisting of chat message structures. It will be an array of those. And this will have to be run on owning client, and we can make it reliable. Drag off this, and drag off the WP chat box, get it, and call the set channel messages. Connect these up. Connect that up, or compile that. So notify the client machine of updated channel messages to re-render the UI. There we go. So watch channel on server. Register an event. Okay, so after we register this player controller as a listener for the selected channel, we need to return the messages. So drag off this and call notify client of chat channel updates. And don't do what I did, and don't forget to connect this channel, which caused hours of debugging. Drag that in like that. We can come up here, drag that there, delete that, reconnect that, just like that. And we need to grab our chat system, get it, move this over, move that, and call get channel messages interface call. Just move that up there. Drag off that, pass in the messages, get the channel messages, and send them to the client. We are done with that event. Let's see, register. Oh, I forget the comment I used for that. There we go. Executed on the authority to register self as a watcher of the specified channel. I think this is the last thing we need to do. Hopefully it is. We need to add one more. No, actually it's not a custom event. Type in on chat channel changed. Oh, right. May have forgot to add that. Oh, forgot to implement that. Go to your player controller class settings and look for chat. Implement the chat system channel listener. Compile, right click, and look for chat channel updated, context sensitive, add event on chat channel updated. For this event, we need to switch has authority. Remember, this event is only executed by the game state on the authority, so we'll add this here for brevity. Plus, when you look at this, if you're new to the code or if it's been a while since you've looked at the code, you'll immediately know this should only be on the server. And then call notify client of chat channel updates, pass in the channel. Okay, pass in the messages, and executed on authority when there are channel updates. Compile, save. Let's test this out. I guess now's the. Alright, here we go. Lovely. Okay, we have errors. I did it again. Okay. Let's try first chat box, text, send a message. I want to change this so it's white. Okay. Now let's try. Okay. Now we've got errors. What's going on? Trying to read get player controller. Trying to read. Huh. Great. Mm-hmm. Bootstrap. Okay. Let's see. Access none. Trying to read property chat system from function top-down controller from node watch chat channel. Okay, so okay, let's make sure. Maybe that had something to do with it. Darn. Hopefully this won't take too long. I'm not sure. Okay, let's figure out what's going on here. Current value is none. We didn't even hit this first. So let's figure out why. Bootstrap authority. We're still calling that. Okay. That's interesting. We're not calling bootstrap all. Because we're failing to cast. Oh, open up your game mode. I think I need to change that. Top-down game mode. Game state. Set it to your custom game state class. Okay. Alrighty then. I think that might work now. No, it won't. I have to reconnect these pins. Okay. Oh man. What is it complaining about now? Oh, you know what? This is an issue with the top down. I think. Get position. Let's just do this. I'm not sure why it's null, but maybe it's null because we were clicking in the HUD. Okay. So, let's see. Let's look at our game state again and Game state base. Okay. Check out the game mode. Top-down controller, that looks good, and that looks good. Nope. Okay, I'm not sure. Top-down character. So there's an issue with our controller, I guess. Why? Top-down controller, BP game state. Change that to game state base. Don't simulate. Wow, this is very... This is lame. Okay. Why is it returning none? What does it possibly want from me? I've got the controller set. Game state, player state, top-down game mode. Okay. Top-down controller. Okay, let's see. Class defaults on the controller, show mouse cursor. Okay. I'm just going to compare this with my working project. The only difference between these two projects is this one is a top-down and my other one was a, what was it, a third person. And it's working on my other one. Block input, no, okay. The settings look accurate. Game state. And let me check my game mode. Check this game mode. Okay. We gotta get this working. It's been almost 2 and wow, that's ridiculous. Okay. Okay. What in the world? I guess let's Okay. Let's do add listener to channel. That's looking fine. It would be a shame if I can't get this figured out in a timely manner, considering it's already been over 2 hours. But of course, this is how things go when you're recording. Okay, tell you what, I know it's been a long time. Begin, play. This isn't working with the third, or the top down. It's got to be something related to the top down. I'm not sure. See, if I come over to the game mode, and I set this back to game state base, compile that. That tells me it's not in my game state. It's somewhere in my player controller. I disconnect those, and I don't think I messed up anything up there. Let's see, that's a problem. Don't forget to set up the send a chat message to server. But let's go ahead and disconnect these. Yeah, these guys should be moving around. I must have broke something. Okay, let me just show you my other project that is working, as sketchy as that is. So it's all the same code. I think there were a couple of things I named a little bit differently, but as you can see, it's pretty much the same. And here is what you should get. The UI elements are a little bit smaller. So I've got a server, I've got a client. Everyone should be on the default channel. As you can see their other message. I'll set that to that. It doesn't automatically scroll, but you can easily do that in the blueprints. I can switch to a guild. I can type in my guild. It doesn't get added over here. I'll select my guild, and there it is. So that's the way it should work. I think I screwed up my project unknowingly, probably fat fingered something. So if you don't have any issues, you can just let me know. Maybe if you notice that I missed out a step or something. So yeah, I mean that's it. I know it didn't end perfectly where everything worked in the end as it should have, but I know that works. I have it working in my other project, so let me know if you need any more help. Alright, bye.